Hi, my name is April Williams. I am an online educator and administrator here in the state of Washington. I'm friends with Carrie Ann, and I'm a member of the Too Cool for School Facebook group. I noticed that recently a lot of people have questions or concerns about online learning, and it sounds like almost every state has moved to some type of distance learning or online learning. So I'm in a unique position to offer some perspective on what online learning is, best practices, because I work in it. So I've put together this brief presentation to kind of give you the ins and outs of online education. So what it is, what are the benefits, and questions to be asking if you would like to explore this option for your child or for your family. So I live here in Gig Harbor, Washington. I've been a teacher for 13 years. I worked for 7 years at a brick and mortar alternative high school in Federal Way before transitioning to my current school, which is Internet Academy. So Internet Academy is a 100% online K-12 public school. This presentation is not going to be about my school. I will reference some things that we do just to kind of help explain an idea or concept. But really my goal with this presentation is just to give you a great foundation from which you can start your own research. So I have a master's degree in educational leadership. I have a bachelor's of science in geography and public policy, and then I am endorsed to teach secondary social studies sciences. So what does online learning mean? Really, it can mean a plethora of things. So anything labeled as online learning could mean that all or part of a student's educational day happens online. So this could imply that one class or one subject is taught online, or it can imply that a child's entire academic day is done in a digital online learning environment. So just like with my own kids in my own classes, I always like to start off with vocabulary, so we're all kind of speaking the same language. So some of these elements are going to be specific to Washington, but I think no matter where you live, these elements should exist in any type of online learning environment within your state. So in Washington, online learning falls under the ALE department, or alternative learning environment. This just means that it's something above and beyond our traditional brick and mortar experience. There's actually different laws that govern ALE schools, but they all fall under the general public education laws of Washington state. Every online program is going to utilize a learning management system, and this is where the courses or the content actually lives. So like social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, learning management systems have their own platforms. Canvas is one, Schoology is another. You might be familiar with these because your child or your family could be working in a learning management system now with school moving to kind of digital distance learning. Student information system can be a part of a learning management system, or it can be separate, but sometimes as a parent you're going to have to interact with an LMS and ASIS. And ASIS is just where your student and your family information is kept, so email addresses, phone numbers, things like that. When you're looking into any online program, you want to make sure that it is accredited. And what that just means is that they have met state and national standards for public education or public schools, and it means that they're audited every year or every other year to ensure quality and legality. Public schools in Washington state just means that the state tax dollars are being used to pay for the education of minor residents of that state. And in Washington state, our public school system is, of course, broad and very, a lot of options exist. And my presentation today is really just going to focus on public school online options. Most public school or most online schools or ALE schools are general education courses only, and that's just strictly because of the type of environment where the learning is delivered. We cannot accommodate the special education needs or requirements of all of our students. So most ALE programs are designed for general education. It does not mean that special education or ELL students can't be served. It just means that they're going to have to go through a little bit more of a rigorous review process before being accepted. There is a type of online digital learning called blended learning, and this just means that online technology or platforms are used in conjunction with traditional education settings. I'll talk about those briefly today, but I'm mostly going to focus on complete school or online course providers. So I get this question often: who is the typical online student? And my response is every child can be an online student. Online learning has become so popular in recent years. It's been fantastic to see different programs and schools flex to meet the needs of the students who would like to be online learners. But really there's 5 big groups or types of students that we see most often in our enrollment pools. So many of our students have social and emotional needs that cannot be met in a brick and mortar school. So these are students who are seeking out online environments because they just feel safer working at home. So students with high levels of anxiety and depression tend to do better when they can work in the comfort and confinement of their own homes. Students with medical needs often seek out online options because of their flexibility. So if a student can't physically attend a building, an online school is a fantastic option that still provides them rigorous and meaningful curriculum and the school experience in a place that's safe for them. We have a lot of advanced, gifted, or high-cap students. So these are students who are seeking rigorous courses and challenging curriculum outside of their traditional grade bands. So at Internet Academy, we have quite a few middle school students who take high school level math courses. So they can remain with their peers in brick and mortar classes or even in our online environment, but then have access to the more rigorous courses that are challenging to them. We have quite a few professional students and families. So these are students who are professional athletes or performers or business owners themselves. These could also be families of executives or business owners that have a lot of travel as a part of their professional schedules, and they seek out online experiences strictly for the flexibility. They can work around their schedules. So at Internet Academy, we partner with the Seattle Sounders and the Seattle Thunderbirds. All of their minor players are our full-time students. So this allows them to meet the rigorous demands of their training schedule while still receiving a quality, rigorous, excellent online educational experience. And in recent years, we've just really had an influx of frustrated students and families. So these are families that are seeking out an online option because they are frustrated with the behaviors that they're seeing in their child's class or in their school, and they're just looking for a different experience. So what kinds of online schools or programs are out there? There's really kind of three big types of schools. There are complete schools, there are online course providers, and then there are blended online learning programs. So a complete school offers the entire academic day online. Some special education accommodations can be met, but not all of them can be met just because of the type of learning environment. So if you are a SPED family or an ELL family, I would still recommend that you apply for an online program if you're interested. It just means that you're going to go through probably a district level review process just to make sure that your accommodations can be met in the online environment. Complete schools can offer all of the grade bands. So for example, Internet Academy, we are a K-12 provider. And in Washington State, students are entitled to a free and public education up to their 21st year. So we have 20-year-olds who are pursuing their high school diploma with us. Complete schools should offer most of what a brick and mortar school would offer. So all of the courses, the electives, testing coordination, transcripting, graduation tracking, graduation ceremonies, and social gatherings should all be a part of a complete online school offering. This is really the best option for students and families who want a single school experience. So they do not want to take classes at a brick and mortar, or they don't want to kind of piecemeal courses from one provider and another. They just want one school. So in Washington, the three major options are Internet Academy, WAVA, or Connections Academy. So there are also online course providers. So these offer standalone individual courses. This is a really great option for families who want to homeschool or families who are homeschooling. Homeschool families might feel comfortable teaching some of the subject areas, but not all of them. So homeschool families will seek out online course providers for chemistry or a world language class, for example, but they feel comfortable tackling all the other subjects at home. It's important to know that some complete schools can also offer standalone course options. So if you are interested in approaching online learning for more of a homeschool model, then I would absolutely reach out to those complete schools to see if they can provide single courses for your student and your family. And then there's blended online learning programs. So students would receive some of their classes in an online setting, and these classes would usually be taken in a brick and mortar building. So the student would still arrive to a brick and mortar school, but then some of the classes would be delivered digitally. So that's kind of a really brief overview of the different types of online schools and programs that are available to you. So we often say this in Washington State when we're talking about ALE programs. We always say that our school is tuition free. So if you are a Washington State resident, your public school dollars can be used to attend an ALE school or program. So in Washington State, every child, quote unquote, receives the same dollar amount, so the same amount of money for their education each year from the state. And where you choose to send your child is where those dollars go. So if you choose to enroll in your home district school, the state sends your child's educational dollars to that district for the district to allocate. If you choose to choice them in to an ALE program, those state dollars go directly to that school or to that program. So that's why oftentimes ALE schools and programs are classified as choice programs, or they're called choice programs. And what this means is that you can choose to enroll your student there. The schools also have the choice to accept or deny that enrollment. So there's choice on both ends. Some ALE or online programs in schools are owned and operated by for-profit corporations. So what that just means is that part of your public school dollars will become a part of that corporation's profit. So if that is important to you or if that is a concern to you, then that would definitely be a question that I would ask when I'm doing my research into these schools. I would just be asking them, are you owned and operated by a for-profit, or, is one of your goals to make a profit? Just something to be aware of. So there are lots of ways that programs in schools can differ, just like almost every brick and mortar school differs in a lot of different ways. But there's kind of 6 larger areas when you're talking about online school: curriculum, technology and curriculum support, teacher roles and responsibilities, the for-profit use of public funds, union representation, and accreditation. So just like in every school, the curriculum is going to differ, so will the curriculum in online schools. So for example, at Internet Academy, we use a mix of third-party purchased curriculum and teacher-created curriculum. I think what's different about Internet Academy, where I work, is that almost all of our assessments and many of our assignments are teacher-created. So that means that the ability to plagiarize or to find information online and use that as students' work is it happens at a much lower rate because our information is written in-house by our teachers. So knowing if the assignments and the assessments are teacher-created may or may not be something that you would want to ask. You would probably also want to know what level of feedback teachers give on assignments or assessments. Read and respond style curriculum definitely has its place, but that might not be something that you want your student to be doing 24/7. So just to kind of find out what types and kinds of curriculum they use and how they're used is going to be important as you conduct your research into online learning. So technology and curriculum support. Does the school or program provide the needed technology or curriculum, or does that need to be provided by the family? Does the school or program require anything beyond basic technology? So for example, if your student is taking a chemistry class, will they need a microscope, right? So those types of questions will just be things that you want to be thinking about and asking. Teacher roles and responsibilities vary greatly from program to program. So you could be asking how many hours teachers are required or expected to work each day. What's the maximum number of students a teacher can have on their rosters at any one time? What are the turnaround times for graded assignments and responses to student and parent emails? All really important things to know. If the for-profit element is important to you, then you should probably ask if that school is making a profit off the tuition that's paid by the state. If union representation is important to you, you can always ask if the adults working in that school are represented by a union. And then finally, accreditation, which is a very important component to any type of online school or experience. If your child is an athlete and they would like to play college-level sports, you must ensure that the courses that the student takes is NCAA approved. So if you transition to an online school and the courses are not NCAA approved, they will not be allowed to play college sports in any NCAA capacity. So if this is your situation, you absolutely want to make sure that you are looking into NCAA approval. INACOL are the national standards for online teaching excellence. Any online program should be aligned to the INACOL standards, but it's something that you might not have known if you are not in the world of online education. So just to become familiar with those standards and asking if they're aligned could be a really important part of your research. And then Advanced Ed is the national and international kind of consortium when it comes to accrediting public schools. Every public school should be going through Advanced Ed to be accredited. So you can ask them when the last time is that they went through an audit or the last time that they were accredited. It's really just ensuring that the school is functioning and operating at the highest level of public education. So lots of ways that it can differ. Hopefully this gives you a good foundational knowledge for where you can start your research into the differences within each program that you're interested in. There are a plethora of benefits to online learning. These 5 are really the biggest areas where online learning really shines. Online learning gives you the highest amount of flexibility that exists in any type of learning experience. So your family will have the ability to flex school around your professional and personal needs. So really no more excused or unexcused absences, no more worrying about vacation on school breaks. You really get to plan your lives around what is best for your family and not around what the school is asking you. Safety is, of course, the #1 issue on everybody's radar. And when you transition to an online learning experience, your child can learn from the safety of your own home. And the other nice thing, too, that kind of plays into the flexibility is that if you do travel often for work, or if you choose to take a longer family vacation, your child can continue their educational experience wherever you happen to go, because all you need is internet and a computer. So lots of flexibility there. Consistency, especially during this pandemic, is proving to be a very important element to any school experience. So to know that your child will have access to their school, classes, teachers in almost every circumstance means that there is very limited to no gaps in their educational experience. Online schools have remained open and operating as business as usual here in Washington State during this pandemic, and that provides just a great sense of normalcy in very challenging times. Transitioning to online learning means that your child will learn these 21st century skills, these skills needed to be successful in the adult working world. So they're going to utilize technology in professional settings. They're going to learn how to advocate for themselves in person and digitally. They're going to learn how to ask very specific questions and seek answers independently. And when they can't find them, how to reach out to the people that can help them seek out those answers. They're going to learn to communicate effectively in digital environments and how to problem solve efficiently. All these elements are naturally built into any type of online experience. And most major corporations, most public, private, state universities, even apprenticeship programs are moving to online types of training and educational experiences. So to have your child be exposed to and understand how to learn in a digital environment is only going to prepare them for the world that meets them after high school. A lot of our families worry about socialization, but here in Washington State, students are allowed to participate in the clubs, sports, activities, electives, anything that's offered at their home district school. So if your child would like to participate in choir, let's say, they are allowed to do so. It's free of charge. It's actually a part of state law. So it's a really wonderful way for students to still get some of those socialization aspects and things that happen at a brick and mortar public school while still getting all of their academics online. And our families also appreciate the ability for them to pick and choose how and when their students socialize outside of school. So club sports and organizations, or religious or church organizations, private activities, or even school activities are all options for them. So while the socialization looks a little bit different, it can still be just as meaningful and just as exciting when you move to an online learning environment. So transitioning to online learning can be a challenge. It's just a very different environment, but there are some things that you can do to make your transition smoother. So I always kind of explain to my families that when you move to online learning, it's going to feel like you've moved to Mars. It's still a planet, right? You know it's a planet, but nothing is the same. So learning the new technology, the terminology, the schedules, and the systems can be very overwhelming, and you're going to be bombarded with emails. That's just how most of the communication in the digital world happens. So it's a lot of change for everybody in a very short amount of time. So I always just encourage families to just give it time. Get comfortable playing around and experimenting in your new systems. You can't break anything. So the more that you play and explore, the more familiar you're going to become with the system, and the less anxious you will become. So to make the transition easier, I always recommend that students and families create a schedule and stick to that schedule. Get up at the same time, have lunch at the same time every day. Try to keep your routines as normal as possible. It's just going to look different because you're going to be doing it from home. I also recommend that you meet online with your child's advisors, teachers, and administrators often. So behind every online school are humans, and they're very excited to make the experience as meaningful as they can for you. So meet with them often as digitally as you can. And parents really do need to take on this kind of new role as an advisor, and this can be a little bit overwhelming or unexpected when the transition first happens. But the more familiar that the parents become with the new systems and the new technology, the more smooth the transition will be for their students. So just like we have tech glitches in our personal lives, there are tech glitches in online schools, and that can, of course, be frustrating. And it's also frustrating to know that when the technology breaks, there might not be an immediate fix. And usually to fix the tech, it means that we have to engage with the tech, which can be equally frustrating. So just to know that if you keep your technology as up to date as possible, you're always doing those updates, or you are reading the emails that are being sent to you from the tech support team from your school, you're going to ensure that your technology works as efficiently as it can. And then a lot of our families are really kind of unfamiliar with the different laws that go along with online learning. So in Washington State, there's actually whole sections and codes of Washington State law that have to do with just online learning. So like in Washington State, as a parent, you need to respond to the progress monitoring emails that you get. You have to make sure that your child attends all scheduled state testing, which is still in person. I think COVID-19 is definitely going to change that, but for the time being, testing is still done in buildings, and you have to ensure that you can get your child to your home district school for that testing. And then there are going to be some graduation requirements that parents need to assist with at home, and these are just some different things that some families are not aware of. But I think knowing the challenges up front, you as a family and your child can adjust to make the transition seamless. So successful students and supportive families work together to create a fantastic experience in the online learning environment. So successful students really problem solve on their own before they reach out to staff. They are not afraid to try new things, to experiment with the technology, really to just kind of click around and see what happens when they do certain things. They schedule out each day and they stick to that plan. Our successful students do not work more than 2 hours at a time. We absolutely do not recommend that you sit in front of your computer for 8 hours a day. It's not healthy, it's not fun, it's not enjoyable, and it's not efficient. So when we help students make their schedules, for the high school students, we really say no more than 2 hours. Then you need to get up, walk away from your computer, and do something different for 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and then come back and you kind of repeat that cycle. But we absolutely do not encourage that our students sit for any longer than 2 hours. And our most successful students use those quote unquote traditional study skills that they learned in the brick and mortar building in the online environment. So any of their reading skills or note-taking skills, the discussion skills that they utilize with their peers, or time management skills, all of those things are going to transition and really will be needed in the online environment. So it's absolutely critical that the student continues those great study habits in the online environment. And supportive families, they check in with their children every day. They ask them about their classes and their online experiences. They help them plan out their school day and their school week. When technology glitches happen, they help troubleshoot those issues. Parents will check on the progress of their students using the school's learning management platform every day. So at Internet Academy, we use Canvas. Canvas has an amazing parent app. It really allows you to be a fly on the wall, so to speak. So you can see everything that your student has done. You can see all the emails. You can see their work. You can see teacher feedback. The only thing you cannot do is submit an assignment. It's a very powerful tool that our supportive families use every day to help keep their kids on track and really partner with their education. Supportive families respond to our emails and phone calls, text messages right away, and whenever there is an in-person school function or event, they attend. It's so wonderful to put faces to names, and it really helps make the online experience just that much, just richer and more rewarding. So if you're thinking about transitioning to online learning, I would start with questions within your own family before you research some schools and ask some questions of some schools. So first and foremost, this might seem a little bit obvious, but I can't tell you how many times I've asked this question and the answer is no. But if your child is not interested in online learning, it just might not be a good fit. They might be very resistant to the idea, even though it's something you would like them to do, or it's something that you think they need to do. If they don't have any interest, if that's just not their jam, it might not be a good fit. It might be not a good time to make the transition. But if they are interested in exploring online learning, then I would definitely have conversations about what type of online learning or what type of online school is going to be the best fit for that child. And then recognizing the types of support that you would need as a parent in helping the child make that transition just means that when you're asking these questions to the schools, you can find out from the schools what types of supports they offer to families and students making the transition to online learning. Students who are self-motivated or self-starters, students who can advocate for themselves already, are going to have a very easy transition to online learning. But if they are not proficient in those skills, that's definitely going to be some scaffolding and some help that's going to have to occur at home to help them really launch successfully into their online experience. It's also very important that you make sure that you already have the dedicated technology at home. So your child needs a dedicated computer. They need access to a printer, printer paper, printer ink, and of course a consistent internet connection. Now, if you don't have those technology items, or if you can't purchase them yourself, then it would be important to seek out a school that would provide those pieces of technology for you. And I think making the transition to online learning really requires that the whole family is in on it. So you're going to need to make sure that you have the ability to learn alongside with your child for some time. They're just going to need some help and support as they make this transition. It's new, it's scary, it can be overwhelming, and your love and support and guidance right alongside them is going to be critical in their long-term success. So if you have sat down as a family and you've kind of answered these questions and made your decisions, then I would head to the schools that you're interested in, and I would kind of run through a list of questions. So these are just some basic ones that I have found lead to other questions, which then just leads us to a richer conversation about my school. So these are just suggestions for you. But you could ask the schools that you're interested in if they are a complete school and or an online provider. Do students set their own schedules, or is one provided for them? What types of social, emotional, and academic scaffoldings are built into the program? Can that school or program accommodate IEPs, 504s, or ELL students if that is your situation? How is student progress reported? Is the school accredited, and who are they accredited with? How many courses do they offer? Is it a for-profit public school? Does the school provide the technology, books, or supplies, or materials? What learning management system do they utilize? What role do parents and families play in the school setting? Are teachers represented by a union? Or what is your student-to-teacher ratio? So all these could just be, like I said, introductory level questions that could definitely lead you to ask some different questions that are going to provide you some more insightful information. So just a jumping off point, if you will, for you in your research. How to pick the right online option for your family. These are just kind of my 7 steps that I would recommend that you kind of move through to find a program that's the best fit for your child's needs and your family's needs. So definitely identify the type of school or program that will meet your needs. And I would develop a list of look-fors or generic questions that you want answered in your research. Think about what are the most important elements or things that you're looking for in a school, and make sure that you are asking those questions when you kind of do your interview with that school or provider. Utilize your state's resources for online education to locate the schools and programs that fit your needs. Every state is going to have some type of resource, and I would absolutely recommend utilizing it. I would schedule Zoom sessions or phone calls with the humans that work at your school choices. Ask them for a campus tour. They should be more than happy to show you around campus or school so that you get a feel for what the online campus looks like. And then, of course, just make sure that it feels right. We have to mesh with the school and the people and the learning management system and the curriculum to ensure that your time at that school or program is successful. And I think there's so many options out there now. You definitely have the ability to shop around and find the school that is perfect for you. And of course, you can always ask to speak with current families and students to get a real firsthand account of the school and what it's like. And then make your decision as a family. It's definitely going to be a transition for everyone, and to have everybody's buy-in and everybody's support is going to make your transition really joyful. So if you live here in Washington, these are the 3 resources that I would send you to immediately. The Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, or OSPI. That is our big state-level government entity for anything related to public school, public instruction. The Alternative Learning Department is where the ALE schools live. So this is all the information about ALE learning. And then the ALE department has an entire section or another department dedicated just to online learning. So if you go to that website, you're going to find information on my school and every other school or provider that is online. So all kinds of great information in these 3 resources. And then, of course, I invite you to contact me directly if you have any additional questions about online learning or anything that was in this presentation. So my email address is there, and then that is, of course, the website for my school, Internet Academy, if you would like to see what a complete online school kind of looks like from a web perspective. And I would, of course, be happy to also give you a campus tour. So I hope you found this information helpful and worth your time in watching. I welcome your feedback, but yeah, I really hope this helps maybe broaden your horizons and allows you to start thinking about online education for your family. So thanks for watching, and I hope I talk to you soon.